Another successful Big 12 Media Day in the books, and in classic PHNX Sun Devils fashion, I left something in Texas.
Happy Friday Eve, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. This time around, coming to you live from the one, the only Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you download and you join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always by that guy right there. That's Professor Oates, the man from Dallas. We've got the freckled mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. If you're somebody that found us from Big 12 Media Day, well, we're glad you're joining us. And if you are a regular here, well, the bartender, the deli man, he's out. He's in Vegas. So you're going to have to order your drinks from somebody else. But Rubus, you left something in Dallas.
The deli man,
it doubles as a bar.
The bartender.
Okay,
it's a bar deli. It's a belly.
It's a belly.
It's a belly.
Or
I don't think we can call him the belly
it's
man.
A dog. No, we can't call him. I don't think he'd like that one too much.
Sharon said, "What did you leave, Eric? Did you not see me remind you to have everything before you leave?"
Did.
Oh, I had everything.
Sharon did remind.
Oh, Sharon. No, I had everything.
We can't get into
I had everything.
This will be the full hour.
Listen, I'll say this. Overall, a very smooth, successful trip to Frisco.
Yes.
However,
I brought everything back.
However, not the easiest return home.
No.
Anthony Totri and I were walking through security.
Yeah.
And they have you walk past dogs, and they took a special keen interest into some of the equipment that we had.
We're such a good boy.
So they pulled Anthony Totri and I aside in TSA and decided to literally unpack
everything
that we had and swab everything. And I will say this. If there are two people that I want to be thorough at their jobs, it is TSA agents and it's your pilots.
Yeah.
That being said, it made me so mad because guess who didn't have a bomb? Me.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
I had a camera.
That's valid.
And they were like the guy who was swabbing me, he didn't speak to me, but then other TSA agents were coming up to me and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
it was like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it was a long time. It was
a process.
And they're like, so why do you have this much stuff? And I'm like, well, it's for work. They're like, well, why do you need it for work? I'm like, well, we do like a professional setup in sports media, whatever. And I'm going to say they took my water bottle.
They didn't.
I'm going to say they
didn't.
But
the water bottle was just left in a hurry.
We were now behind and late for our flight that changed gates.
Got delayed an hour.
Well, so we didn't know that yet. So we had to repack everything after a 45-minute strip search of our bags by TSA and then travel across the airport, run, and then ended up being able to get food because we started boarding late. Then we got on, and then it was a weather delay. Then they said they were stopping departures, and they restarted departures, and then we left. We got home, and we were fine. But I lost my water bottle.
Yeah.
So the water bottle was left in Texas.
But phone made it back.
You know what it is? It's every time PHNX Sun Devils is in Texas, we have to leave an offering.
Yeah.
In order to appease the football gods.
Yeah.
It was Kyle's phone in Dallas, and it was my water bottle in Frisco.
Sounds like I'm next.
Good luck when we go back.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be back, of course, for the Big 12.
Oh my God, Anthony Totri's beard left in Texas.
We'll be back for the Big 12 championship game if Arizona State has anything to say about it. But the Big 12 coaches at Big 12 Media Day didn't think so. Didn't think that Arizona State would ultimately make the Big 12 championship game in 2025. On3 conducted an anonymous poll of Big 12 coaches. All 16 got a vote. They couldn't vote for themselves. Again, it was anonymous. And Rubus, Kansas State, and Iowa State received the most votes to reach the Big 12 championship game in 2025. Kansas State leading the way with 8 votes, followed by Iowa State with 7. Now, Arizona State did end up In that third spot with 6 total votes from Big 12 coaches, Texas Tech received 5, TCU got 3, Baylor got 2, and Utah got 1. 7 of the league's 16 teams received votes.
When I was first looking at this, I was like, how could they have that many votes? There's only 16 coaches. I was like, how is there more than 16 votes?
Did you just do a quick math?
I just realized that there's 2 people in the championship.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been a long week. I literally tweeted, what a weekend in Frisco.
Yeah, you did.
Buddy, it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, even if they could vote for themselves, I bet Kenny would have voted for another team just so that he can go back and put a chip on his team's shoulder.
Yeah.
He'd be like, by the way, I didn't vote for you.
I didn't vote for you
I
either.
didn't vote for you. I don't believe. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I would honestly say this is a little surprising. I would say this is not shocking because I think Kansas State is good and I think Iowa State is good, but I'm a little surprised that ASU wasn't one of the top 2 vote getters.
Now, I mean, but before we completely dissect that, they also did votes for like the league champion, right? So who ends up as the like number 1 team ultimately before you get to the championship game. Kansas State did receive the most votes for that to just outright win the conference. Arizona State ultimately came in second in the voting there. Others receiving votes, Tech, TCU, Baylor, which is really, really interesting because any way you slice it, Iowa State was not selected to win the Big 12 by any of the coaches, but they received the most votes to finish as runner-ups. They got 7 votes.
See, and that's weird. I don't know. That's weird.
Everybody, what I take away from this is, and we'll get to our Big 12 takeaways from the 2-day experience a little bit later on in the show. Mine don't necessarily have to do all just with Arizona State. I do have one from the Sun Devils, but a couple that kind of space out. The hype about Kansas State is there. There's a lot of Kansas State folks that
they probably saw Avery Johnson play cornhole.
Yeah, that might have been it. Avery Johnson, hell of a suit that he had.
Yeah,
while he was
hell of a
Big 12
cornhole
media
player.
But there is a lot of hype around Kansas State. I think while we were there, we could see the hype around Arizona State as well.
Yeah.
But why this was interesting to me is because you have Iowa State picked to be in that Big 12 championship game, but it doesn't feel like anybody has Iowa State to ultimately like just win.
Which
the
is
game.
it's just a weird balance, right? You think at least one would think that they would win.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's 100%
also,
fair.
I'm thinking back to it now. I don't remember seeing a single Iowa State player in their jerseys. And I know like we were really locked in on a lot of stuff, but like I remember like, oh yeah, I saw Houston, Utah, Kansas State, Bay. Like I saw everybody. I did not see a single Iowa State. I know that they were there.
Yeah.
But I did not see a single Iowa State player.
Maybe now that I'm reading this, by the way, I think it is more so. It's not the most votes as like league champion who finishes it. I think it's just when you get to the game, do you win? Which would make a little bit more sense for me. That Kansas State, of the 8 coaches that thought Kansas State was going to be in the Big 12 championship game, 7 of those 8 thought that they would win it. And again, ASU had 6 votes to be in the Big 12 championship game. All 6 of those coaches thought that they would win that game.
Okay.
I think that makes a little bit more sense to me.
That does make sense.
But ultimately, all 7 coaches that thought Iowa State was going to get to the Big 12 championship game
thought they would lose.
Nobody thought they would win that game. Which is
weird.
Tough.
It is weird to be like, oh, you're going to get I mean, it's like, well, we saw what happened last year.
But I feel like Iowa State, like throughout this, and it's funny you bring up the fact that Iowa State, like you didn't remember seeing any of the players or any of that. Like it felt like Iowa State, like really, really went under the radar at Big 12. Media.
Agreed. And like to be like fully transparent, like because we were a 4-man crew and we were all when we weren't hosting or doing content,
something was getting done at all.
We were all editing and going behind the scenes and helping out the other show, right? So we were very locked in on what we were doing. So I don't want it to be like, you know, me and Totri were sitting up in the stands scouting the entire media day and it was this, or like going booth to booth and like listening, right? So there's definitely a chance that there was a good and
I remember
adequate
seeing
amount
Matt
of
Campbell,
buzz.
but
I remember seeing Matt Campbell's press conference. But you know, I think with that it's interesting because I also think that Iowa State's a good team, but I don't know if Iowa State could win, right? I think they're really well coached, but I don't know if they have that overall talent level to take them over the top, right? And maybe they do. Maybe Rocco's just that guy, right? Maybe Chase Sewell is just that guy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Dominique Orange is just that guy, but I don't look at them overall as like. But I even like Kansas State too. Like I think Kansas State's gonna be good. But it's like overwhelming, like
that was the sentiment that I got. Though.
Like I just like how did they? And maybe this is ignorance from my part. And maybe you can help me out. How did they get significantly better from last year? Because for them to not only make the championship game, but to win the championship game, they would have to significantly improve off of what they did last season.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, that's how that should make sense.
They think it was just Avery Johnson wasn't fully healthy last season. Is that what it is?
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's that. I mean, they added a couple running backs from the transfer portal. They added a couple wide receivers from the transfer portal as well from some interesting schools. You got one from Arizona, you lost one to Arizona, but you added one from Purdue. Like, ultimately, this team is just kind of confusing to me. You got a Nebraska running back. You got a Louisiana Monroe running back to try and fill the void left by DJ Giddens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You lost DJ Giddens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Avery Johnson, in theory, is supposed to get better. He didn't get better last season.
Yeah.
And I believe he was injured, but
you added a couple offensive linemen.
So what? That takes you from not in the championship game to clear conference favorites?
I think for me, a lot of it, and again, this is just based off of what I'm looking at. This defense improved. This defense improved mightily, which is big considering that defense was a issue for Kansas State down the stretch last season, right? You added Gunnar Maldonado, a U of A safety. You added an Alabama defensive lineman. You added an Ohio State linebacker. You added a lot of pieces to this defense that people are buying into. On top of the fact that you're returning Dylan Edwards, on top of the fact that people think Kansas State's Avery Johnson is going to make that next jump. He was an impressive quarterback last season. He's the definition of a dual threat guy, especially in this conference where it does feel like there are a lot of athletic quarterbacks. So I see the hype. It's really, for me, a lot of the same hype that we saw last season. But I think people are really buying into the fact that, hey, down the stretch for Kansas State, there was a little bit left to be desired. Like, if you go back and you look at Kansas State in 2024, right? Like, just the end of their schedule and how that kind of played out for the Wildcats. Like, it was a tough down the stretch run for Kansas State, especially that Arizona State game.
Well, right, it was before the Arizona State game that
it was Houston.
That really
you
screwed
had the
them
Houston
over.
game.
Yeah.
If this is a team that I think that Houston loss really, really got in their heads. And again, we don't cover Kansas State, so I can't speak to I spoke to the players and the coaches, and this is what they had to say. But just based off of the vibe here, this felt like a Kansas State team that ran through everybody in the Big 12 except a good BYU team. And as Kansas State got better throughout the year, BYU got better throughout the year as well, right? So Kansas State players, Kansas State coaches, Kansas State media can at that point say, hey, our only loss this season is to a team in BYU that is a top 25 team week over week. They're improving. And you look down the stretch, who do you have that you haven't kicked the doors in, right? You beat Oklahoma State when they were ranked at the time.
Yeah, but they ended up being
country,
trash.
But you still beat them by 20 plus points.
Okay,
you beat Colorado on the road.
That's a good win.
With Shador, Travis, etc. You take care of business on the road against West Virginia.
That's an win.
Yeah, still, though, it's a win, right? You win by nearly 30-something points. You beat Kansas.
By 2.
And then you are, and just take it from our perspective covering Arizona State, where we got to a point in the season where we're like, hey, if they do X, Y, and Z, they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game, right? And I can see that path here for Kansas State players. I can almost see them looking past an opponent because it feels like that's exactly what they did when they traveled to go play Houston.
Sure.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, it was early November. It was raining that game. It was a really weird game, if I'm remembering it again.
And Houston
correctly.
had a really good defense last year.
They did.
Houston wasn't a good team, but they had a really good defense.
So you lose that game by 5 points, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, we're vulnerable. We have to take care of business.
They have a bye week.
You have a bye week. You come out really lethargic. Arizona State punches you in the mouth
at home.
That first half, like before you can even
was it 21-0?
Something around there, 21-0. But first possession for Avery Johnson and company, it was a turnover, right?
Yeah, it was 21-0 at half.
And Arizona State they're running you over at your place coming off a bye week. I think at that point it's like, wait, we don't know what we're doing. They try and make it up. They come back a little bit down the stretch. They still lose that game. They go out. They beat Cincinnati big time. And then, I mean, you're looking at the last game of the season, and it's all on the line right here. Yeah. And you lose on the road to Iowa State, the Big 12 championship runner-up.
I don't think they're a bad team. I think I picked them third in the Big 12.
No one's saying they're a bad team.
Right. I think did they get remarkably better? I'm not going to go out and outright say no, but I need to see it. right? And I need to see it against the elite of the Big 12. What is Kansas State's schedule this year?
Kansas State's schedule in 2025, I got it for you. And this is the best part about it for me, is Kansas State and Iowa State play week 0 in Ireland.
That's awesome.
So if Big 12 coaches are
correct.
Does
that count as a Big 12 game?
No, it does not count as a conference game, to
That's
my knowledge.
Brutal.
This counts as a non-con game. So you've got ultimately a preview of the Big 12 championship according to coaches in week 0 in Ireland. Like that is going to be that by far, by the way, is the best week 0 game on the docket. I think there's only 4 or 5 games.
Is that the best week 0 game in a while?
I don't know the week 0 games off the top of my head, but that is going to be a hell of a game. And it's going to be, I mean, that's your get back. If you're Kansas State, we're going to learn a lot about these two teams.
Yeah, that's your for Iowa State. We're on a revenge tour for losing championship. For Kansas State, we should have been there, and you were the team that stopped us, right? But then after
that's not even the case. You know,
no, they topped themselves by losing to Houston.
Sell it, right? That's how you sell it if you're the coaches.
But it was the loss to Houston and Arizona State that really screwed them over. Then you play North Dakota and Army. You should win those games. You start off against Arizona, UCF. You should win those games.
And then you honestly got a tough stretch.
Baylor, TCU, Kansas
on the road.
By October, we'll know about it.
On the road.
Kansas State, in-state rivalry game. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Then you got Texas Tech. That's a hard game. Oklahoma State. That should be a win. Utah on the road. That's a tough game. And then Colorado at home. That's going to be a tough game. In Big 12 play, they have Oklahoma State, Arizona, UCF. Those are their easy games. A non-con game against Iowa State, which would basically just be another tough one. It's a tough schedule for Kansas State. If they do make it to the championship game, it'll be because they damn well earned it.
Yeah,
for sure. And I do think that part of the reason of what this voting came into, part of it comes from one of my Big 12 takeaways from Media Weekend, and it wasn't a positive one.
Yeah,
for Arizona State. You want to get into that?
I'm down to get into the takeaways on the other side of our first break.
Listen, if you're traveling a lot, if you're flying, if you're hanging out and consuming all of the content that we have here for PHNX, whether it's Media Day or Summer League, which I'll be heading out to tomorrow night, make sure you sit back and relax and pop a pure edible. Founded in Arizona, we love our local guys, for sure, and available in 130 dispensaries statewide. Pure gummies, they're just not covered in sugar like their competitors.
But man, they taste like candy.
But man, they taste good. And that's the thing, right? Like, if you're trying to, cover up a bad meal, you just put a lot of salt on it, right? It's like, I messed up these eggs somehow. I just put some salt on it, and then I don't know. I'm just thinking because I did that Big 12 Media Day, the eggs weren't that great.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Whatever. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about pure edibles. They offer so many different things: sleep support, uplifting effects, relaxing effects, balancing effects, CBN, CBG, CBD, marijuana-derived THC. Listen, also clearly listed as to how they're going to affect you and easy to dose. And if you're new, start low, work your way up. Go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
Look, we were obviously in Dallas for Big 12 Media Day, stayed at a hotel, had that whole fun experience, but man, it did not feel like a vacation at all because we were working 24/7. I don't know about you, Rufus. I could use a staycation. And of course, I would only go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. My favorite one of the 4 that they have over at Gila is, of course, Wild Horse Pass. We do a bunch of PHNX events there. But it's just the vibes. The vibes at Wild Horse Pass are truly elite. You can hang out at the BetMGM sports books that they have. You can watch all the sporting events going on. Maybe you're a baseball sicko. You want to sit there from sunup to sundown. Well, you could do that. You can hit the pool. You can have a steak dinner. You could do it all over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And maybe you can even win a little over on the gaming floor. For me, that's how we pay for the staycation, right?
Yeah,
that's ultimately
that's how we get to Big 12 Media Day in 2026.
You're right. Remember, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Make sure you visit playatgila.com for more details. Also, want to tell everybody at home about our PHNX pickleball tournament that we are going to be having on July 26th at 10 a.m. over at Chicken and Pickle. Glad to get them back in the mix. Now, it's $35 for an individual, $70 for a team. The best part is that part of the proceeds from the event are going to go to support the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Arizona. Of course, the prizes, the food, the drink specials. It is all so much fun over at Chicken and Pickle. Make sure you head to go PHNX/events to get more details.
It was a real hoop at the last pickleball event. I mean, there was some legitimate competition.
There was some. That's one thing I've noticed is we back in the day of PHNX. We had a cornhole tournament. And I'm not even joking you. The best cornhole players I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, like the stars show up. Avery Johnson.
Nothing but net every single time. I'm like, why am I here? Why am I playing in this tournament? And then I sit back, I'm having a drink, I'm eating the food. I'm like, you know what? This is why I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here for the vibes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right?
Anthony Totri brings the vibes.
That's what I do.
You need.
That's what
also,
I do.
speaking of bringing the vibes, I want to just let everybody know that Xavier and Alford interview at the end of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of buried the lead here.
I mean, vibe.
Yeah.
Vibe.
I mean,
Our guy.
Xavier and Alford, Ben Coleman, two guys we also talked about at Media Day. We'll be playing those for you. Just Xavier and Alford today. Ben Coleman will be tomorrow. Just wanted to make sure that, we didn't overload you with the content, spread it out.
Yeah.
Spread out those hits of dopamine. But one of the things that I mentioned, it's technically my second takeaway, but I think we go there first because it plays off of what we were just talking about.
Let's go.
Let's look at my 3 takeaways. I'll say all 3 right now, and then we'll talk about the second one first.
Yeah.
So my 3 takeaways are Arizona State is the story of the Big 12 this season. Even if they're not picked to win by the media, Arizona State's the story. Every time I was walking by a booth, I was hearing somebody talk about Arizona State. Right? When people heard that we were covering Arizona State, people wanted to talk about Arizona State. The players were being pulled every single which way direction when they were out there.
Yeah.
Right? They were the story of Big 12 Media Day.
Not even just on day 1, on day 2.
On day 2 as well, yes. Yeah. The national media isn't convinced that ASU can overcome losing Cam Scatterbo. Just because you're the story doesn't mean that they're picking you to win.
Doesn't mean it's a good story.
And it doesn't think that doesn't mean that they think that you're going to be elite. It just means that you're the story, right? The second one is something that, in talking to some ASU players after they did their rounds, you and I, we heard, hey, all we're getting from everywhere is questions about Cam Scatterbo, and we'll get to that in a second. And the last one is defense is still slept on, right? Because I didn't hear a lot of talk about X and CJ and Clayton. When you heard people talk about ASU, and I get it, it's a quarterback, it's a wide receiver, and it's one hell of a head coach. Yeah. Like, that's what's going to happen. But not a lot of people were talking about the fact that they have an All-American candidate in Xavier and Alford, or all-conference guys or at least a hopeful in Clayton Smith, and preseason selections in X and CJ, right? Anyways, let's go to the second one first.
Okay.
The national media is not convinced that ASU can overcome Cam Scatterbo.
Correct.
Now, I would not say that ASU was wildly disrespected in our first segment, right? I think I have some questions about the teams that were picked ahead, but it's not like they're going to suck. Right? A lot of people have them around the top, right? A lot of people have them, at least competing and being in a championship game.
In the conference.
Right? But all the questions are so many of these national questions. Again, we are 7 months removed from Cam Scatterbo playing Arizona State football.
Yeah, he's gearing up for training camp.
We love the guy.
He's gearing up for training camp with the New York Giants, and we're still talking about him at Big 12 Media Day.
If any media members love Cam Scatterbo,
hey, look,
it's these two guys right here.
I'll tell you what, Cam Scatterbo, he knows how to get clicks. So I respect the Big 12 media for asking their questions and getting your clips out of it.
It's not even just like, what was your favorite memory? Whatever it is. It's do you think you can overcome? Do you think you could be good without him? And I remember talking to
What a stupid question.
Well, and I remember talking to an unnamed Arizona State player behind the scenes, you and I, and he was genuinely upset. He's like, that's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
To all of us. And no other running backs were there, right? Like, maybe asking Kenny, that makes sense.
Or even Sam.
But all the defensive players were asked the same question.
Yeah.
And so maybe to me, it's like what's stopping them from being these overwhelming favorites, which again, from a national media perspective, I can understand the line of thinking, even if I don't agree with it, is the fact that they think that Arizona State will not be able to overcome the loss of a singular player, a great player, an all-time great in Arizona State history.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of got a glimpse into it while we were talking to Matt Berry, right? When you had asked him who he thinks is going to be kind of a sleeper player here, he mentioned the fact that they had a special player in Cam Scatterbo, right? Not all of these other guys kind of behind the scenes or in the 2s and 3s really had to do a whole lot offensively, because behind Cam Scatterbo in terms of talent and star power, who'd you have? You had your quarterback, Sam Levitt, and on the perimeter, you had wide receiver Jordan Tyson, right? So you didn't need all of these unnamed guys to go do a bunch of things. So, I understand the logic of thinking from national media who hasn't gone out to practices or is just really obsessed with this narrative that Cam Scatterbo put Arizona State on his back and took them to the promised land, right?
Right.
I understand it.
Dude, if last year's team was just Cam Scatterbo, they would be like a 4-win team.
This year?
Last year. If it was just Cam Scatterbo.
If it was solely Cam Scatterbo.
If any team is just like everybody else is mid, and it's just Scat.
Yeah.
They're a 4-win team.
Yeah.
And I love Scat. He's one player, right? He is an elite player, and he was the best player on the team last year, and they don't get as far as they did without him.
Correct.
Those two things are both true at the same time. But the reason why Arizona State competed with Texas was because their offensive line held up.
Yeah.
It was because the defense played out of their goddamn minds, right? And during the season, it was Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson being able to step up on offense, but also an all Big 12 selection second team in Shamama Taylor.
Yeah.
Right? Like you had so much, and this team has added so much through continuity and outside additions on offense. I'm genuinely, and I love Scat, man. Again, I think he's one of the best, if not the best running backs in ASU history, especially for a single season. I am not worried.
No. And I don't think fans should be, honestly.
I'm not, and I think, and usually I would be the opposite.
You're a worry.
No, usually I would be like,
Walter?
You lost somebody that important. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But it's not just because we're the Arizona State guys. Like, I will tell you the truth. I will always tell you the truth. Just listen to me talk about Arizona State basketball, right? Like, I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm genuinely not. There is literally not an ounce of worry in me about not having Cam Scott.
No, and again, like I said, it's like you understand the questions, but we can't sit here and if this is going to be the question for Arizona State, then, which again is a valid question, then you have to question every other team in this conference that dealt with the same thing, which is just about every single team.
Iowa State.
You have, you've lost your 2,000-yard receivers.
You lost 2 NFL weapons on offense.
I'm talking just at that same position, right? UCF, RJ Harvey's gone. What are
Texas
you doing?
Tech,
yeah,
gone.
Taj Brooks, you're gone. DJ Giddens, Kansas State, you're gone. Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State, you're gone. I don't know if the Utah. Yes, I think he's gone. He's been there forever. Dude.
Yeah,
he's been there forever.
He just started an insurance agency.
But every team lost their star running back, and it wasn't just Arizona State's Cam Scatterby that put up crazy numbers. He got a lot of the hype, and rightfully so, because this team won a championship game, because he put up ridiculous numbers and played in the college football playoff. RJ Harvey put up ridiculous stats too. DJ Giddens, he had his time too. Taj Brooks was a dog. Devin Neal, he came on late for Kansas. Like, all of these guys,
everybody came
had
on
their
late
moments.
For Kansas.
All of these guys had their moments, and they're all gone. They're all in the league. So why are we sitting here saying like Cam Scatterby is going to be the one thing that stops Arizona State from making it when every team in this conference lost their running back?
Well, and it's like, again, I think it is a valid concern to think to yourself, how can they replicate that? But I think it is lazy for your whole approach of these asking questions. It's like to ask defensive players about it, right? And again, and to ask it July 8th.
If you're a defensive player, right? If you're Clayton Smith or you're CJ Fight or you're Alford and you're sitting there and you're at Big 12 Media Day, like, you're on top of the world, right? Like, this is people are, we're glad we're here. We're our preseason all conference players. Like, the vibe is totally different. We're the reigning Big 12 champions. And you sit there and you ask them, well, how do you replace Cam Scatterby? Like, what are they? Or the question of like, do you think you're going to be able to? What are they supposed to say? Other than like, are they supposed to say no?
Oh no, we're screwed.
It's just
screwed.
It's a silly question.
Well,
right?
and again, it's like, okay, one person asks it, whatever.
I get
but
asking a coordinator,
or I get asking Kenny.
Yeah,
right. I get asking Sam even on, oh, hey, you have to take the mantle from Cam Scatterby as being the engine of this offense. But it's like Sam was still the engine of the offense. There was 2 engines.
Yeah,
right. Like Jordan Tyson, like, you know, it's funny because everybody, like, as much as they didn't pick ASU to win, everybody's super high on Sam Levitt.
Yeah.
Everybody's super high on Jordan Tyson. Everybody knows those are NFL players.
But that tells us that people think the defense is not going to be good.
Right. But it also tells us, it's like, I don't understand how you could be so high on them and so high on Kenny and think that losing a player is going to sink this team.
I think, and again, like, kind of transitioning a little bit from the scat to the defensive side of the ball, like just putting everything together, right? And talking to some national media folks on the side and, you know, listening to Damon who jokes, right? But like, this is something that we've brought up before of like, Arizona State won a lot of close games. And you look at some of those close games down the stretch and it was their defense that came up big a lot of these times.
Literal game-saving plays.
Right. So like, there is the narrative of one side in the road where it's, oh, Arizona State came in clutch down the stretch, a lot of close games. They got lucky, right? They played bigger and better than they were outside of those moments.
Yeah.
Right. So they probably won't do it again this year. But the flip side of that coin, which for me makes more sense, right? And this is, remove it from Arizona State. You can say this is Kansas State. You can say this is BYU. You could say this is Iowa State. Like, if a team plays clutch down the stretch and they show you game in, game out that they are, when the lights are on and we got less than 2 minutes to play and we got to get a stop or we got to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they time and again do that. Why would your first thought be, oh, well, they can't do it again? I feel like my immediate thought is, okay, I know when the lights are brightest, it's a big time moment. We need a big time play. I'm counting on the guys that did it the first time to do it again.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that make more logical
and they're all
sense?
back.
Yeah.
Everybody but one starter on defense is back. You're replacing with somebody who's in year 3 in your program.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we just are too logical. Maybe we're crazy.
I don't know. I mean,
Ayrton, are we making sense? Are we just like two crazy people screaming at each other about the same thing and we're wrong?
Yes,
you don't
have to answer.
Yes, but what do you got, Freckle Mamba?
This all makes complete sense.
It makes sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Like, just in sports in general.
In every sport. I was going to say, like, even in basketball, that's like, it doesn't even make sense. In every sport. You can put it in every sport.
The guy that takes the clutch shot at the end of the game and makes it, guess what?
Oh, but it was a lot more
confident
There's an
that he's
award
going to
for
make it
that.
again.
There's an award for that in the NBA.
It's a stupid award, but yes. So, and just kind of like rounding out before we get to your thoughts. Again,
you don't want to get to my thoughts.
What your biggest takeaways? This is why this season's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like I just pulled up to the record player and put on the record where I dusted it off and it said, Erik Ruby, this season's important.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm going to say it again. It's the broken record of last season. Of, hey, this team is not this bad, guys. I promise you this team is not this bad. This is where you can go from the one player will basically take you off the map to this is a program that just wins no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have high expectations, and the expectations locally are higher than anybody else's. The expectations internally, even if Kenny wants to say what our expectations
aren't real,
are higher than everybody else's. The expectation is to be the best, and it's to win a championship. And I think they are fully equipped to do that, even without Cam Scadaboo.
Yeah, I think that is a beautiful way to put a button on your takeaways. We'll get to my Big 12 takeaways and a lot more on the other side of our second break. I was almost bummed that we had to fly to Frisco because it stopped me from being able to take advantage of all the Inner Circle deals and promotions and rewards that Circle K was offering. And you know how many Circle Ks there are probably from here to Dallas? Like probably thousands.
At least 5.
Probably thousands of
Yes.
Circle K locations. I've told the story before where I got really lucky on a random Inner Circle fuel day and saved 50 cents per gallon. Ended up filling up my car for $14.
I have Inner Circle envy
It
of you
was
for that.
absolutely crazy. Look, if you want to start saving money on gas, on drinks, on snacks, little chicken tornado action, well, all you got to do is be an Inner Circle member. It's a free membership program that Circle K has. Super easy to get enrolled. Just go to the App Store, download the app, email, phone number. That's it. You're an Inner Circle member. Next time you pull up to the pump, type in your phone number, and boom, you are going to start cashing in on those deals. Again, make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Don't wait anymore. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Not a lot of things in life are easy. One thing is for sure easy, and that's spending your damn money.
Yeah, no, it's
My
valid.
God, it's so easy to spend money. So why not have your money work for you with Mountain America Credit Union?
See, this is a dollar. See what I'm doing here?
Stretching
I'm
that
stretching
dollar.
it.
Unless you're Devin Booker getting paid $145 million over 2 years, you probably need to get some rewards, and you can get it through Mountain America Credit Union and their credit card purchases now through July 31st. Now, time is running out. You still have 21 days, but it's been going on for a month and a half. So Mountain America Credit Union clearly committed to helping their more than 1 million members across their 100 branches throughout the West. But this promotion, an easy way to stretch your dollar. Redeem your double points rewards for things like travel rebates, gift cards, and event tickets. You can rack them up by buying literally anything, even gas, groceries, and so much more. Get details at macu.com/double. Loans are an approved credit. Offer can be changed or withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
Glenn saying, I guess I'll take a break from NCAA 26 to say hi and drop a like.
And then said Hall Monitor Greatest Hits.
I love it. I love it. I almost forgot about that.
I think we're at the point. I think this is the offseason. I think we can do an Erik Ruby nickname.
I think we probably could. You think we can draft the one? You think I can draft the one that I gave you over the last 2 days?
No, probably
no, you
not.
don't think so?
If we did it like maybe that's just a diehard only draft when we just like go into Discord and do it, because there are some nicknames that don't make air.
Yeah, that's tough. Clint saying onward to victory. I love that Clint, the Oregon State fan, has slowly become a Arizona State.
He changed his profile picture.
He did. He had that same profile picture for a long, long time.
Wow.
I also
you've changed.
wanted to clarify the Kansas State Iowa State non-con conference game situation in week 0. Will says that it is a conference game. I have not confirmed that. I'm just reading the comment. So if Will's wrong,
so Arizona's
blame Will.
A non-con. So either way, they're playing a Big 12
which makes
team in
sense
non-con.
because I think
last year the Arizona Kansas State was non-con, so it's probably a home and home. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's making a little bit more sense.
So weird. Who would have thunk when they scheduled that actually we'll be in the same conference
at this point? Do what Jeff Ruby, the father of the Hall Monitor,
the newest
says.
diehard.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button again, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. If you missed any of the great content that we put together at Big 12 Media Day, well, don't fret. It is still on the YouTube channel and it's going to be there. And there's still some stuff that we haven't played that is going to get posted from now through Sunday. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed.
If you did not hear the Matt Berry interview and you are an Arizona State, even if you're not an Arizona State fan, maybe my favorite interview I've ever done, point blank period, ever.
Really?
It was really fun.
Well, it may not be the last time.
He said it was a great question, and then he got really mad at me later.
Well, you asked him a question, which I thought was valid.
He did yell at me.
He raised his voice.
Well, I guess he was mad at the question, but not mad at me.
I think he was more mad that the question
had to be asked.
That it exists. Had to be asked. That it exists.
Yes.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, check out the YouTube.
But
Matt Berry interview.
I did get yelled at by Matt Berry.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Wow, look at you, man. What a year. First, KD calls you a clown, and then Matt Berry yells at me.
Ooh.
You're like, what's next on the bingo card?
Yeah, what
Kyler Murray, like, slapping you across the face?
Kyler Murray hits me in the face with a softball. Oh, yeah, what would be next?
Diana Taurasi hits you with a car?
I think you got to piss off Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we may have.
Breaking news.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I will say this. So I was producing
for
the U of A show yesterday because I'm a nice guy. And I don't know if like this is for sure. This is obviously an assumption.
Oh God.
But Brent Brennan was giving me lots of side eyes and dirty looks. We locked eyes a couple times, and I thought to myself, I'm like, does this guy recognize me?
Maybe.
Because I've said some things. Yeah. About the program.
We both have said some things.
I did a Southwest bias with Saul Bookman about if Brent Brennan should be fired. And I said yes. And I'll tell you this. You know, listening to him speak, I'm like, I get why people like this guy, right? The same, like,
he's a nice guy. U of
A fans say the same thing about Kenny. But the thing is, Kenny is a proven good coach.
What do they say about Kenny?
They love him.
Oh, yeah.
They love him.
Yeah, nice guy, but also great football coach.
But I did sense, like, because it was like, you know, like a little like look like once. It's like, oh, okay. And
maybe
then
he was checking you out.
And then no, I did not look good immediately. Yesterday I looked rough. It was a rough night. But maybe he just watches the show.
Yeah,
right?
maybe,
He's a big fan. But we like locked eyes a couple times.
Did you stare him down? Did you let him know his boss?
No.
You broke eye contact first?
He was looking at me and I went, and then looked away.
No, dude, you gotta like if he looks at you like that, you gotta look him back like
wink.
No,
did I tell you
wink at him?
Okay, I know we're supposed to get to your takeaways. Did I ever tell you about my Michael Crow story?
No,
my freshman year of college.
He winked at you.
I winked at. So okay.
What?
Okay.
You winked?
All right, we'll get to your takeaways in a second. Okay.
What is happening?
So you guys should know this. You went to Cronkite. You know that like when you're a freshman, they do like this all welcoming freshman event, and they bring you into DFA, and it's all the different schools.
I remember very clearly the words ASU is a dry campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
At
ASU,
that moment, I knew.
I did put Brent Brennan in.
I knew that. I chose the right school.
Glenn says Brennan puts on Eric's diss track every morning from Monday. You know what? There's a non-zero chance that Brent Brennan saw the Smack the
non-zero
diss
track.
Anyway, and I'm sorry. Sorry for distracting now, but
distracting.
I was sitting front row. I was sitting front row for that. And
nerd
Michael Crow. I know. I was one of those guys. And Michael Crow was like doing his little speech about, hi, I'm Michael Crow and I care about ASU athletics. And yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he's like looking and he's making eye contact with everybody in the front row of each section. And I notice he's looked at me like 4 times. And I'm a little, I was gonna say a little S word. I can't say that. I was a little brat. And I'm like, next time he looks at me, I'm gonna do something. And he looks at me and I go like, and I wink at him. Like real out there. Like it's not a mistake.
Why?
And because I wanted to mess with him. I thought it was funny. And he like stuttered. He lost his train of thought. And he didn't look back at the Cronkite school once after that. And it's so funny, dude. I was dying.
What a weird one-off story.
Right? It's so weird. I'm sorry. Anyway, Totri, your takeaways from Big 12 Media Day. Wow, number 1, Brent Brennan hates Erik?
Yeah, there you go. These are my Big 12 Media Day takeaways. Again, only one that has to do with Arizona State, but we'll kick off with that one. Arizona State players taking advantage of the offseason. Now, this is partly from talking to Kenny, talking to the players, listening to the media availabilities, and kind of just listening to what all of the, Kenny and the players were talking about, specifically to some other media outlets. And a lot of the players, this is something that we have brought up in previous off seasons, where it's like we get to fall camp or we get to spring ball and it's like, okay, 2 months have passed. What do these guys look like? Well, oh, wow, Clayton Smith is 10 pounds heavier. Prince Dorba is 10 pounds heavier. Cam Scattaboo is 10 pounds lighter. He's faster, X, Y, and Z. And you have the same thing this go round. Coach Joe, the weight and training coach, the weight and strength and conditioning coach, for Arizona State, really, really setting these guys up for success and these players taking advantage of it as well, right? Keith Abney putting on weight. Jordan Tyson putting on weight while also getting faster, right? Sam Levitt,
that doesn't work with
putting on weight as well, which makes me believe that he's not going to slide again this season.
Oh, you're going to be so mad.
Those shots.
You're going to be so mad.
That's something that I think, again, is like, and we talk about it, right? As a company, like quote unquote winning the offseason. And I think it's something that, like, in theory is a really, really beneficial way to getting an advantage, right? Especially when we're talking about athletics, where it's like, hey, you can't meet with coaches or you can't do like actual practices for X, Y, and Z for this amount of time until you get to the actual fall camp and the season. So what can you do to better your chances of having an advantage when the season starts? Well, it's really taking care of your body. Yeah. It's being like, okay, well, maybe I couldn't do this last season too well because I was a little bit thinner or I wasn't fast enough, right? So you have a guy like Sam Levitt, the quarterback, who did miss a game with an injury last year, putting on some weight, right? You have Jordan Tyson, who probably, when we're talking in the grand scheme of the NFL draft, helped his stock by putting on 10 pounds of muscle and ultimately getting 1.5 mile per hour faster, right?
You know what nobody talks about
21.5 miles an hour faster.
Jeez, so crazy. Not 21.5 miles per hour faster.
You're right. 21.5.
He'd be running 40 miles per hour.
You're right.
Maybe give it another off
crazy. Just wait NAU. You're about to see something crazy.
You know where that weight comes into play?
I'm very curious.
That man likes to block.
Yeah.
He likes to put somebody in the ground, and that's going to play a big event, and scouts, NFL are going to love that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But that's something as it relates to Arizona State that I found really, really interesting.
And we've heard a couple guys say that they changed their diets.
Yeah.
Too. And I think when you bring back so many people, and there is a clear, everybody's saying national championship, but there is a clear drop off between the caliber of team that won a national championship this year and Arizona State.
Yeah.
Now, and not as big of a drop off as all of us expected, but still a drop off. How do you get better while losing Cam Scattaboo but bringing everybody else back? Well, those guys got to get better. Yeah. You got to get deeper and you got to get better. And I think they did both. Yeah.
Well, in football, you got to get bigger, you got to get faster, and the team did that as well, right? Yeah. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. What makes the SEC, quote unquote, the best conference in college football?
They're big and they're fast.
They've got the biggest, the fastest players in the country.
The biggest, the fastest.
On that note, my second takeaway from Big 12 Media Day, I alluded to it at the start of the show. The Kansas State hype is real. There are a lot of folks talking about Kansas State this upcoming season. I think they will be better than, they were last year. And this is a team that, if I'm not mistaken, was in a 4-way tie at the end of the year to be in the Big 12 championship game. But ultimately, Arizona State had the tiebreaker. Again, if I'm not mistaken on that. But this is a team, I think Avery Johnson's going to take that next jump. We know what he could do with his legs. I'm really interested to see what this offense looks like outside of Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to me that you look at the individual pieces that they managed to add on defense, right? Specifically, I brought it up. You have a guy like Gunnar Maldonado transferring from Arizona to Kansas State, him staying in conference on that note. You added a guy in Gabe Powers at the linebacker position from Ohio State to Kansas State. He's not a small dude, 6'4", 242 pounds. You try to beef up the defensive line with a guy who's nearly a 4-star transfer in Jayshon Ross, 6'4", 239 pounds from Bama to Kansas State. Like, this defense is going to be, I think, a little bit more of a sure thing here in 2025. But again, my biggest question still remains is how do you replace DJ Giddens when he was such a force for this team? And I think a big part of that is you got to look probably to that Kansas State offensive line. They lost an offensive tackle in Carver Willis, who transferred to Washington. But on the flip side of that, they added a interior offensive lineman from USC and George Fitzpatrick, another offensive tackle from Ohio State. So, like, they got some big transfers that are ultimately going to beef up that team, literally. And I think Kansas State is a team to buy stock into. But I was a little bit surprised as to, like, Kansas State was kind of owning the moment there.
Real. It is definitely real.
And my final takeaway, which is kind of funny coming off the heels of Kansas State getting a lot of great transfers, is I don't think the media is sold on Texas Tech this year.
Shane got in their head.
Yeah, it was Shane Diefenbach, the deli man, who got into the heads of everybody at Media Day that Texas Tech isn't going to be very good. But no, in all seriousness, I'm interested to see what Texas Tech does this season, as a lot of folks, because we know the amount of money that was spent on that transfer class. I believe it's the #1 transfer class in the country. And they spent a lot of money, and I've got Kansas State's pulled up, but I'll go ahead and pull up Texas Tech's transfer portal.
I think there were
class.
3 in the country, 1 in the Big 12.
That could be correct.
Which is still crazy.
Like, some of the players are these are some of the schools that they added players from. Okay, I'll give you positions, and then of course the schools. They added a quarterback from Wake Forest, which we'll see. I don't think he'll play. Quentin Joyner is going to be a really fun player to watch in this conference. Almost a little bit surprised me that there's not more discussion about him, and maybe that's just because we're so dialed into Arizona State.
Yeah.
But he was a USC running back transferring to Texas Tech. Micah Hudson, we know that's a big name at wide receiver, transferring from A&M. They added another wide receiver, Reggie Virgil from Maryland. And they needed to, right? They lost a lot of guys. They lost Taj Brooks in the backfield. They lost Jalen Conyers at tight end. They added some offensive linemen, some big offensive linemen at that. North Carolina's 6'8", 325-pound Howard Sampson at offensive tackle. Guess what? He's at Texas Tech, right? You added Cash Cleveland, who was, if I'm not mistaken, an all-freshman center for Colorado. So shout out the Skull Buffs guy in the chat.
Skull Buffs guy was like, they're celebrating playing a weak Texas team close. You lost to BYU.
Transferring from Colorado to Texas Tech, and that's just on the offensive side of the ball. Terrence Carter Jr., for me, is going to be a fun tight end to watch. If I know a lot of people don't probably know about him because of where he's transferring. He was a Raging Cajun, and now he is at Texas Tech. The defensive line is where they spent money, and just the defense in general. Lee Hunter, I think we have a UCF guy in the chat. That name should sound familiar because he played D-line for you, and now he's playing D-line for Texas Tech. Romello Height, a 4-star transfer defensive lineman from Georgia Tech.
Didn't he play for ASU basketball?
No, that would be Romello White. There you go. David Bailey, an edge rusher, transferring from Stanford to Texas Tech. I think he is one of, if not one of the best edge rushers in this conference heading into this year, and that's without even really getting into the secondary and looking at some of the additions that they added there, right? Mississippi State, Purdue, adding to that back end. So there's a lot of turnover there, right? Which we've seen work. We saw it work for ASU. We saw it work for Colorado. Can it work when you spend an ungodly amount of money on your transfer portal class?
But, you know, it worked for ASU, but didn't work because they threw the bag at everybody. It worked because they found people that worked well together.
They fit a system. And not to say that this...
And they got, didn't they get a new offensive coordinator?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Didn't the Texas State guy? I had someone from Texas State join their coaching staff.
I don't
as
think
well.
I don't think they got rid of their OC. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I don't
I'm not sure either. But I think there's a chance that Texas Tech plays at the Big 12 championship game in his favor. I think there's certainly a chance.
I think that is definitely something.
I think it's certainly on the table
to be in there.
But we'll have to see. And I'm interested to see how they are. And that game against ASU, that might be a game day.
Yeah,
game.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it.
Well, I might not be literally.
Well, no, you're going to be here for it. But we're also here for Xavier and Alford.
We are 100-yard landlord. Got a great interview from Big 12 Media Day. Love that guy. Great defensive back. Better person. And we will unveil that interview on the other side of our final break.
I've experienced two different types of heat in the last 24 hours. The wet heat and the dry heat.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, heat is heat, and it costs to cool your home when you're in that heat. And that's why a smart thermostat works with your APS rate plan to help you automatically adjust the temperature in your home on the off-peak hours, because nearly half of your energy costs come from cooling and heating your home. Did you know that for every 1 degree that you raise your thermostat, you could save up to 2 to 3% on your cooling costs?
Now I know.
But you have to remember to adjust your thermostat, and that can be hard when you're busy or not at home or lazy like me. And a smart thermostat can make it easy. If you're away from home and you forgot to adjust it, you can do it on your smartphone or from a device anywhere. Plus, for APS customers, you can find instant rebates, discounts, and special offers on smart thermostats, energy-efficient appliances, and so much more at marketplace.aps.com. And right now, APS customers might be eligible to smart thermostats for as low as $0 when you enroll in APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home like myself, see if you're eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards, plus free install available at marketplace.aps.com.
Look, a lot of discussion about ceilings and floors at Big 12 Media Day. I'm here to tell you, Arizona State, well, they got the best floor. Empire today, and you as well could have the best flooring with our friends over at Empire today. Just like your favorite team needs a home court, a home field, your home, your apartment, your condo, well, it needs a home floor that you can count on as well. Now, we're not talking about those big box stores you go in, you wander aimlessly, just looking for somebody to ask the questions to, and once you finally get there, you spent hours upon hours. You got to lug it all home and do it yourself. That's not the case with Empire today, because they live and breathe flooring, and they're going to be with you every step of the way. It is an entirely different ball game. Plus, schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard it right. It's not a typo. A $350 discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire today/PHNX for full details. Jonathan saying 6-6 or 7-5 is going to hurt ASU fans so much, and it's going to be so delicious.
I'll tell you what, that's not going to happen, but that would hurt. That would suck.
Yeah, no. It would,
yeah, 6-6, 7-5 is an unequivocal disaster for this team.
Depending on, again, and
I don't know, even
catastrophic injury is the only thing.
No, catastrophic injuries. Even just one.
We don't want that to happen.
No, even just one.
Nobody wants
this is
that
not a
to
6-6, 7-5 team.
No, it absolutely is not. And a reason that this team, I think, is going to be so much better as a whole, as a unit, is because you got 100-yard landlord. You got Xavier and Alford back in the mix for the Arizona State Sun Devils. Heading into technically year 3 with this program. We know he played a big role last year, didn't get to play that first year because of the NCAA waiver situation. We caught up with 100-yard landlord over at Big 12 Media Day. And I'll tell you what, you'll get to listen to it right now, but man, was X good.
Yeah.
Back Xavier and Alford. X vibe a little bit different here at this Big 12 Media Day versus last year's Big 12 Media Day.
Yeah, way different, totally different, but it's just a blessing to be here, especially with the guys I'm here with, just where this program's come, where it started till now, and the respect that, people are giving us, because, we earned it and, we went out and took it each and every week. But last year was last year, this, kind of is like the start point of the new season. So just good to be at this event, and it's a blessing.
Not trying to dwell too much about last year, but what would X 365 days ago have to say to the X today?
I would just say just keep going, just roll with the punches. Wake up each and every day with the same mindset you do, being great, pushing yourself and, and your standard, your expectation, and just keep working.
Last time we talked to you, you had a point of emphasis that obviously it's all about the team, but there is something specifically that you want to accomplish this year. You want to be an All-American caliber type of player. Just what was it like to see your name on the preseason All Big 12 team just yesterday and actually start to get a little bit of national respect?
It's always good, when you see that the work you're putting in, is being credited, is being out there. But really just I've always been goal oriented, and kind of process driven. Just, really putting in the work of the during the process, and then on the back end of it, I feel like I will accomplish everything. But I really feel like, with the team we have and the guys that I have that just me being me, going out and doing my job each and every play with the guys that's on the team with me, will cause me to, you know, reach my individual goals and theirs as well. So, that's what we're big about. We're really, really big about, if the team looks like this, if the team is that, if the team is this, then, we will get, everything that we earn, deserve, and so forth. So.
Yeah, you guys are like the epitome of a team. Every time we talk to any of you about individual accomplishments, about 5 seconds into the answer, they go to, but my teammates, but my teammates, but my teammates. Is that something that it's like you have to be like that to come to Arizona State? Or is that, you get here and the culture surrounding you kind of builds that up more?
I definitely feel like, if you ask Coach Dillon, the players that we recruit, are a certain way, unselfish guys, guys that love football, guys that are dogs, guys that are, that are some of the best, talents in this game as well. But I really do feel like, it's a little bit of both. You do have to be like that, or maybe if you're a younger guy, you kind of have to learn. You come and watch guys like me, Sam, and all the Ben, CJ, all the guys that's here, JT, all of us, you kind of watch us and you just follow, and we like since I've been here past 3 years, that's really been my thing to lead, show the younger guys that this is how it's supposed to be, this is how the culture is, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you establish the team. And so I really feel like we do have a certain type of players on the team, but I do feel like it's a little mixture of both.
Every time we talk to you, there's a lot of mutual respect between you and, of course, Sam Levitt. But I want to know your thoughts on that wide receiver room that you have opposite you, obviously led by Jordan Tyson, but you got some new faces in there. You got Jaron Hamilton, you got Jalen Moss. Just what's the energy that you're picking up from those wideouts in that room?
Man, I'm really excited, especially, with the quarterback that we have returning, in JT. I'm really excited, with all those new guys in that room. I really feel like we have some guys that can go. And I really feel like it's going to add, a different element to our offense that, as a DB, especially going against them every day, I would love to see them go bomb people in the games, after coming off the sideline, getting stops. But those guys definitely, they compete at a high level. They push me each and every day, get me ready for the season, vice versa. And that group is definitely, I think that's a group that not really might be getting slept on. Obviously, you have JT and things of that nature, but I do think it's some other guys in that group that definitely are gonna flourish and come alive this season.
Who's the biggest dog on offense that people are sleeping on?
The biggest dog on offense.
Like going up and against practice, they might not be the person who gets the headlines, but you're like, okay, I know this person is gonna give it their all.
He's like, how can I incorporate the entire team?
Yeah, that's fair. Listen, room full of dogs. Somebody's got to be the most dog of them all.
Facts. During fall camp, come back and ask me a question.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm holding you to that.
Hold me to it. Hold me
you
to
to
it.
that.
Goodness, man. Look, EA Sports College Football 26, the release right around the corner, pre-release already out. You are, I believe, the second highest rated player for the Sun Devils at a 91. You're one of the highest rated players in the game, point blank, period. Your thoughts just first off on being in the game this year, and then second of all, actually being able to play with yourself in the game, because I feel like last year, like what they did to y'all was dirty last year with the ratings, man.
Yeah, facts. Nah, definitely. But no, it's definitely a blessing. Obviously, just with the game coming out last year and it's just continuously coming out. As as a kid when you play football, college football is something that you play. You see yourself on the game. You wanna, you're just excited really. So It's just a blessing, obviously, to be that overall. You know, I definitely think I should be higher, but nah, it's just a blessing, to be on that game and just to see, everybody else that I know man, I grew up with at different schools or guys on our team, just and then it's really funny because people back at home they call it like, bro, I just caught a pick with you, this, and that. It's just so funny to me, but yeah.
What would you rate yourself then if 91's too low?
I mean, I'd said 99 last year, so
Yeah.
I'm saying, but
So
it's
100 this year.
Yeah, 100-yard landlord.
Fact.
I
There you
love
go.
it. Look, Arizona State preseason all-conference and future All-American defensive back Xavier Alford. We appreciate you taking the time. Man.
Appreciate y'all.
Always love catching up with our guy, 100-yard landlord. Again, if you missed any of our Big 12 Media Day content, it's up on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Hit the like button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. That is going to do it, though, for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils show. Make sure you follow us on social at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the man who left his water bottle at the airport. That is Erik Ruby, at Erik Ruby with a K on X. And you can follow the Freckled Mamba on social at Freckled Mamba on social media. In the meantime, guys, go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.